Hello and welcome to this channel where I want to introduce all of you to the world of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. A lot of you may have never heard of it, or you've heard it in passing, you've seen it in the news, but you don't know how to get involved. That's pretty much my goal in this channel, is to help you guys get involved. Started with buying your first Bitcoin and get involved in the other cryptocurrencies as time goes on, and I share that with you. So essentially, what is Bitcoin and what is this blockchain technology? So for example, what we need to understand is centralized data versus decentralized data. And as we know, the recent hack of Equifax is a good example to start understanding what the difference is. So Equifax stores data for all individuals that live in the United States, and their work history, how much they make, how are they doing on their payments. It's a credit report of each individual, but that's stored in one location. That's a centralized data warehouse. So with the hack that happened, essentially all that data was out in the open, and people who had were able to get access to that data were able to see history of everyone. You see how that can be a potential risk of having data in a centralized location, and that's pretty much how we've been operating for all these years, is having a centralized form of storing data. So what blockchain does is essentially decentralizing that data, where that data is now stored in several different locations, and to access data there has to be a consensus between those participants to access that data. So a simple example is, in a house, if there is $100,000, and if you want to go ahead and access it as a criminal, that is one house that you have to attack and get the $100,000, versus if you had $1 stored in 100,000 houses. Now that your attack is not going to be as fruitful, and there has to be a concerted effort to figure out how am I going to get $100,000 if that was the goal. So now you see how that helps in getting away negative attention to data and where that's stored. So that's essentially how decentralizing data works, and it's having that data stored in those different locations, and to access that data there has to be consensus between those participants to give you access to that data. So the control is going away from an authority or one location to those participants in the blockchain. So that's essentially what the revolution is on how data is being stored. So that can be in the form of currency exchange, it can be in the form of data storage. There are multiple uses of the blockchain, and that's where we're going forward. So it's a lot like the dot-com boom. When that happened several years ago, people were like, what is internet? Who is going to use that? Who's going to email? Fax was big back then, and no one at that time thought internet and the ways of communication would change to how we are today. There is internet, there is social media, there's ease of access to send over an email, and it has completely revolutionized how we communicate. And internet really has become a necessity of life today, which people could not have seen several years ago on how that was going to get transformed. So today we're in a similar situation where blockchain is going to revolutionize transactions and how data is stored. So that's why I wanted to get this channel started, to introduce all of you to get involved and how to participate in this revolution. So stay tuned on the channel. I will be showing you how to open an account, how to get through how to buy your first Bitcoin, how to store it. All that will be covered in the successive videos, so I'll try to keep this video short so you can follow along and get started. If you have any questions, send me an email or drop a comment, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. Thank you for listening, and welcome to this world of cryptocurrencies.